Good morning. Good see you again. Good afternoon. Is Mr. Good. Just cruising with the revision today for the sequencing. All right. Okay. Please sit down and take your exercise book so that you are just gonna able to take the note while I'm just writing this question, and also I'm gonna give you the clue, the strategy how we're going to attack some of the level one question like these ones. Okay, therefore this is a sequence question that is falling under level one question. Yeah, level one question is just a level one question whereby you're just going to look at the position of of the terms. Okay, all right, then what I promise is that I'm just going to do all the level for sequencing. Then as you see, this is the first question that is falling under the level one question. Maybe tomorrow I'm gonna do what is the level two question, and the level three as well, what is the level four question for the high order question for the sequences, only the sequences, the question that are very important to take note them before you go to write what your number pattern. All right, then make sure that you sit down and listen carefully, and make sure that you tell your friend that Mr. Good is online on TikTok, is still doing what is the number pattern. Yeah, as I promised that I'm gonna finish the number pattern as soon as possible, because at the end of this level question I'm going to do what is the introduction of the series. After that I'm just gonna do all the level questions for high order question for the series. Okay, all right. Okay, let's go. Let's do this. Okay, let's do this. Okay, then we have number one. That is a level one question for the number pattern. Okay, remember what I said about the number pattern, the introduction of a number pattern. I said that when I talk about the number pattern is whereby we are just going to look at what is the repetition of a common difference as well what is the constant ratio. All right, then we said that the constant ratio is whereby we are just going to look at the value of r, whereby the constant ratio, we always get the constant ratio on the geometric sequence. Okay, as well what we say that we have a common difference. A common difference, we say that is whereby you're just going to look at what is the value of t, where the value of t must be equals to t2 minus t1, and also must be equals to t3 minus t2. All right, then try 12, make sure that the common difference, we always get the common difference only if we are just having what is the arithmetic sequence. All right, as I said that when I talk about the arithmetic sequence, it's just the repetition of a common a difference. Okay, when you talk about what is the geometric sequence, it's just the repetition of a constant ratio. Okay, then what I said about those two ways, they are very important to take note of them, is because of that we are just going to use them to prove this is a geometric sequence, or this is the arithmetic sequence. We use what is the constant ratio as well what is the common difference to prove what types of a sequence is that one. It's very, very important to take note, because sometimes on the exam they are not only going to give you what types of a sequence is this one. You need to just use the method or the rule to prove this is a geometric or a arithmetic. Okay, as you see here, we are just been giving what is the sequence. How can you see this is a sequence? I said that the sequence is the order or arrangement of terms in in the form of consecutive terms. Okay, whereby between the terms we are just going to have the semicolon. Do you see that of a semicolon between the term? Therefore that means this is this is a sequence. Okay, therefore as you see here on this statement, they're just saying that we are giving the certain sequence which is 23, 27 as well 31, and continue. This sequence is just progressing. Okay, therefore that means that we don't know what types of this sequence is. We don't know, maybe it is a arithmetic sequence, or it is a quadratic sequence, or it is a it is a arithmetic sequence. What you're going to do first, you need to check what the sequence first after going to attack what the question. As you see, we have this sequence. You need to take your piece of paper and check what types of this sequence is. Okay. Therefore, how are we going to check? You check it by using what the common difference, and also you check by using what the constant ratio. Is very important to take note of these two weights. That is going to help you to prove this is a geometric, this is a the arithmetic. Okay, therefore you say that for arithmetic we normally say that a common difference must be always equals t2 minus t1, and also must be equals t3 minus t2. But you make it, this is in a quick way. All right, maybe you can use your calculator, just punch your calculator, then say t2 minus t1 and t3 minus t2 to see that the value of d is going to be the same. Okay, therefore, and let's substitute. Then what's the value of d here? It is 27 minus what's the value of t1? It is 23. Therefore equals what's the value of t3? It is 31 minus what is the value of t2? It is 27. You're just proving first what types of a sequence is this one. Okay, 27 minus 23, we're going to get 4. Okay, then we have 31 minus 27, we're going to get 4. Oh, that means this sequence is just containing the common difference. Therefore, you draw the conclusion now. This sequence, it is a arithmetic sequence. Why is the arithmetic sequence? Because we have now? The common the common difference. Okay, therefore then now that means the question is just going to be based on on the nth term of of the arithmetic. Okay, therefore the geometric is not the geometric. Let's check. It's not the geometric. Let's check. We have a geometric formula. We have t1 t2 over t1 must be equal to t3 over t2. Okay, let's check. The value of r is going to be the same. What is the value of t2? It is 27 over the value of t1. It is 23. Do you see that? Then what's the value of t3? It is 31 over what's the value of t2? It is 27. All right. Therefore, the value of r now, do you see that the value of r is no longer going to be the same? 27 divided by 23 is not going to be the same as 31 over over 27. Therefore, that means this is not a geometric sequence, because the value of r is not equal. 27 over 23 is not equal to 31 over 27. Therefore, that means this sequence is not is not a geometric, because it don't have the constant ratio. Okay, a ratio is a fraction. A fraction is a ratio. A fraction is a ratio. Ratio is a fraction. Ratio is a fraction. The fraction is a ratio. Therefore, the difference, you note the difference. Okay, that is the first step that you need to do when you're just taking the question for the number 13. You need to check what types of a sequence is it. Is a arithmetic or it is a geometric. You use these two formulas. Okay, the constant ratio and a common difference. All right, therefore now we know now this is a arithmetic sequence. Okay, let's go to the question. If they are just saying determine the first term, if they are just talking about the term, what is the term in the sequencing? The term is whereby we are just talking about the nth term. The term is just the nth is just the term as a whole in the position. Okay, what I can explain like this one. The term is whereby we are just talking about the number that is in the position, a number that is in the position. Why that is making any sense? I don't know if it's making any sense. Okay, let's make it. Let's make it to be have a sense. Okay, all right. When they are just talking about what is the first term, they are just saying that calculate what the term on the pattern, where that term is which position, determine the term. That means this question is based to know what is the position of that term first, so that you're just going to able to reach that term, because you cannot able to find that term if you don't know what the position of what of that term. Okay, therefore the questions come, determine the first term of the sequence which will be greater than what 5,000. Okay, therefore if they're just talking about what the term, as I said, that the term is depending on what, on the position. What is the position? The position is a value of n, is a value of n on what, on the sequence. Okay, remember the nth term of the arithmetic sequence says that Tn equals to what, a plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, therefore when you are just talking about the term is whereby you're just going to look at what the whole number, that the number that must be here, that is a Tn, a number that is here, we call that number, it is a term. This is term 1 is 23. This is term 2 is 27. This is term 3, it is what, 31. Therefore, a term is whereby we are just going to look at what the Tn, but Tn is depends on what, on the position. Do you see that Tn is need what, the value of n? Therefore, that's why we normally say that if they are just asking what the term, we always starting calculating what the position. The position is always what, the value of n, and the position must be always positive, and the position must be always a natural what number, must be a whole what number. Is very important. When they are just asking what the term, they are just asking what the number that must be here on Tn, but Tn needs the position. The position is a value of n, where the value of n must be always positive, must be the natural number, must be a whole number. N must not be what, a decimal number, n must not be what, a fraction. Okay, then they're just saying that of the sequence which will be greater than, is very important to take note that will be what, greater than what, 5,000. That term must be greater than what, 5,000, must be greater. If they are just, if we have this sign, remember greater, no one does know greater. Greater is a sign like this one, it is an inequality sign. This inequality sign is always telling you that now the value of n is no longer going to be what, a whole number. It's just going to be what, the decimal number, because now we are just doing what, the approximately. We are not sure what the value of n is. If we are just having something like greater than, smaller than, then the position is always be what, a number that is gonna be what, a decimal number. Do you understand me what I'm saying? If we have greater than or less than, the value of n is always be what, the decimal number. But if they're just saying that determine the first term that will be equals to, that will be equals to 5,000. Therefore, the value of n must be what? Must be a natural number, must be the whole number, must not be what? A decimal number, must not be what? A fraction. Okay? Therefore, it is making any sense. This greater or less than is just commanding you to solve the value of n, and the value of n must be what? Decimal number, must be a decimal number. If it's not a decimal number, that means there is something wrong that you do what on the sum. It's not supposed to be what? Equal. Okay, then but we're going to draw the conclusion at the end. Now the value of n must be equal, so that we are just gonna able to find what the term that is gonna be what? Greater than what? 5,000. Okay, let's go now. Okay, we know that now the value of n must be what? The decimal number, since we have greater than. Sometimes they're just gonna say that smaller than. If they're just smaller than, it is less than. Then the position is gonna be what? A decimal number. It's very important to take note that if we have the inequality sign, therefore the position is no longer be what? Equal. Okay, but sometimes if they're just saying that is greater than or equal, now if they're just saying is greater than or equal, then the position is sometimes is going to be equal here. All right, because we have now what? The equal sign, but here we are just saying what? Greater than. If it's greater than, therefore that means the position is gonna be what? The decimal number. It's very important to take notes. Those are the key words. We have less than and greater than. If the equation come out with greater than or less than, the position of a number or the term is gonna be what? In decimal form. Okay, or fraction. All right, but if we have greater than or equal or less than or equal or smaller than or equal, therefore the position might be equal to what? The certain value. Okay, it depends on what. Don't be confused now. If you are just calculating the position, you're going to get the position in decimal, then you're gonna say that that position is wrong. Mr. Go say that the position must be always what? The whole number must be always what? A natural number, must be positive. Okay, all right, let's go. All right, let's go. Okay, all right, then now what we're going to do here to write this equation correct. Okay, the first thing what we're going to do, we are just going to say that we have Tn. We are looking for Tn. Tn is greater than what? 5,000. Okay, that is a first step. Okay, determine the first term of the sequence which will be greater than 5,000. Tn is greater than that. Tn, we need that Tn, the first term that is going to be greater than what? 5,000. Is Tn is greater than 5,000. Do you see? It's very simple. What is Tn? Tn is the nth term of what? Of the arithmetic. Okay, what is the nth term of the arithmetic? It's very simple. It is a plus n minus 1 times d is greater than what? 5,000. Do you see that? How? We have three unknown variables. How? We have the value of a, we have the value of n, we have the value of d here. Okay, therefore, but we know the value of a as well, what we know the value of d. What is mean? What are you talking about? What you talking about the value of a as well? What are you talking about? What you talking about? The value of d is very simple. Mr. Go says that the value of a is the first term on the sequence. We don't have a first term of the sequence. We have the first term of the sequence. It is 23. Let's substitute. We have 23 plus n minus 1 times d. What is d? D, it is a common difference, a space between the consecutive term. That space, we call it is an interval. T2 minus T1 must be equal to T3 minus T2. Remember, we said that T2 minus T1, we got what? 4. Remember that we got 4, then a 4, then is greater than what? 5,000. Do you see that? Then now we have only one variable. Then we're going to get what? 1 mark here for substitution. This is 1 mark for substitution, the value of A and D. Then next step, what we're going to do, we're going to solve the value of what? Of n now, okay? How? We're going to remove the bracket first. The numbers must be always on the right hand side, okay? Therefore, 4 times n is equals to what? 4n. 4 times -1 is equals to what? 4 is greater than. Remember, I'm going to take this 23, I transpose on the right hand side. Therefore, what I'm going to have on the right hand side now, 5,000 minus 23 is going to give us 4,977. 4,977. Do you see that? Therefore, that is a value of on the right hand side. Then what we're going to do here, this number going to transpose on this side. Then we left with what? 4n is greater than. Then we add now 4 here on this side. Then what we're going to have, we have 4,977 plus 4, which is going to be equals to what? 4,981. Okay. Then what we're going to do here, then 4 divided by 4 is going to manipulate each other. We have this 4 is going to manipulate this 4. Then what next? We're going to be left with what? N is greater than. Then n is greater than. N is greater than. Let's divide here by using a calculator. We have 4,981 divided by 4. Then the answer is 1. We have 1,245,25. What I said about greater, I said that the value of n must be always in a form of what? Decimal, okay? But there is important what? A conclusion here. Since the value of n must not be what? A decimal number. When you put it here, you cannot put what the number that is decimal here on the value of n. What is important about this number? This number, when you read it, read this thing, is gonna tell you what is needed to you. This thing says that n is greater than 1,245,25. What is a number that is greater than? What is the first number that is going to be greater than on this position? Okay, what is the first? So that n must be greater than, because n is not equal to, do you see that is greater? N is not equal to 1, is not equal to 1,240, but it is greater than, okay? It's greater than. Therefore, the conclusion come out now. N must be equal to, since n is greater, do you see that? Since n is greater than 2,000, therefore n must be equal to what? 1,246 as a whole number. 246 is greater than 1,200 as a whole. Do you see that? Is greater than, because we don't need something that is less than that number, but we need to, n must be greater than this number as a whole number. Therefore, which number is a number that is ahead? That number is greater than 45. It is 46. Do you see that? Therefore, let's check. We don't need what the value of n, but we need what the term. The term must be greater than what? 5,000. Let's check. How are we going to check? How are we going to calculate that term? We're going to say that we're going to look at what? Tn, where a is 23 plus n minus 1, and the d is 4. Do you see that? That is the formula for what? For the arithmetic. Therefore, we're going to calculate what? T1246, which is going to be equals what? 23 plus 1246, then minus 1, then times 4. Then after that, you punch a calculator. Let's punch the calculator. Let's punch a calculator. We have 23 plus, we have 1246 minus 1, close bracket, times 4, as you see. The answer is 5003. 5003. We have 5003. Do you see that? We have 5003. Okay, Tishela, why we didn't round, some of the questions gonna come out. Why you didn't round off this number to the nearest of whole number? Then you're gonna get what? 1245. 1245. If you round off this number to the nearest of whole number, that means now we're going to say that this number is less than, because when I round off this number, I'm going to get what? Look, I'm going to get 1245. Okay, when I'm just round off this number to the nearest what whole numbers, I'm going to get this number. But the value of n now is less than. Do you see that? Is less than. N is not now greater than this number, but n now is what? Is less than. That's why I normally say that it's very important to pay more attention when we have greater than. When we have greater than, we always round off that number ahead to the whole number. Do you see that? We always round off that number ahead. We see that we have 40, we have 45, but here we've rounded up 46. Do you see that? We round off that number ahead because it's supposed to be what? Greater than. Do you see that? It's greater than. When I just put what? 1245 here, what am I going to get? Let me check. What I'm going to get? Let me check. 5,000. Do you see that? I'm going to get what? 4,900. Do you see that? 4,900 is not greater than 5,000. Do you see that? 4,000 is less than, because this number, when you round up to the whole number, we're going to get what? The less than number. Do you see that? It's very important to pay more attention on this kind of questions. Okay, they are just we just need to be I don't know, we must think far away, we must think mystic root, and think deep down. Okay, all right, that is all about what I was expecting to explain to you about greater than and less than. And also here, and there is a trick here that is need to pay more attention about greater than. Okay, greater or less than. When it's less than, the number must be less than. Okay, must be less than. That means when we are, if here we have less than here, therefore we're going to get this thing. Okay, and the value of n, the conclusion is gonna be look like this one. Okay, then where's the eraser? Okay, the eraser. Let's say if n is less than, where the sign here was less than, where the sign here, let's change here, where the sign was less than or smaller than, the sign is going to be look like this. Okay, the sign is going to be look like this. Then here, and also the sign was supposed to be look like this. Okay, let's say look like this. Then after that, now what we're going to do, since this number is greater than n, do you see that n is less than 1,000, is greater than n? Therefore, we're going to say that n is supposed to be equals to manje 1,405. Do you see that? Because 1,245 is less than 1,245, 25. Do you see that? Is less than. Therefore, n is supposed to be a number that is less than here. Okay. Then you take this n, you substitute here. Then you're gonna get what? 4,900. Do you see that 4,000 is less than what? 5,000 now. Do you see that? That is what I'm trying to explain to you. That is a level 1 question that needs more attention. Okay, I'm going to bring a level 2 question on the next video tomorrow. Please make sure, don't forget to like and share the video. It's Mr. Good. Good mntwana. Ah, umntwana.